You know, we're always told that we're supposed to steal from the masters. We're supposed to be transcribing and building our vocabulary. But how do we do that in a real practical sense? Well, today I want to take a look at some steps along the path of making great bass lines your own. Thanks for joining me today on Learn Jazz Bass with Matt Rybicki. If you're interested in continuing to learn more about jazz bass, please like this video, subscribe, and look for a PDF below related to what we're going to talk about today. And what we are talking about, as I mentioned, is assimilating some vocabulary from master bass players, or frankly from any bass player that you hear and you want to make your own. So there's a few steps that we need to go through to really do this in a practical way. The most important thing to note first is that you find something that you like. It doesn't matter what I or anybody else thinks. It should be something that moves you, something that's compelling to you, something you want to learn. That's probably the most important aspect of integrating other kind of vocabulary into your own. You want to do it. So that's an important thing. So if you have not transcribed this line yet, you should. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend writing it down right away, but rather to really get it into your mind's ear, so to speak. And ideally, you want to be able to sing this phrase that you are trying to grab. It is a melody, even though it's a walking bass line. It's a melody, and so we should think of it like that. You don't have to be a great singer, but you just really want to try to make sure that you can simulate the movement and the sort of overall feel of the line. Once you've chosen what you want to play and you've transcribed it and been able to sing it, the first sort of main step in making it your own is to analyze it. And there's a variety of sort of tasks you can do in the analysis to really get inside of it. Now, when I am thinking about a particular phrase myself, I've been doing it long enough that I can make a bunch of judgments very, very quickly from a variety of angles. And we'll discuss each one of those angles in detail right now. But I just wanted you to know that the more that you do it, the easier it's going to become. In fact, some of this stuff becomes really almost like what they call sort of Gestalt psychology, right? Sort of you're seeing everything at once, even though they are separate parts. And it goes beyond sort of even conscious thought oftentimes. The first step is to think of the line in relation to the chords that you're playing. So for example, let's take our first phrase that we've got in the PDF, which is, and that is a super cliche blues line, blues phrase, walk up, you've heard it done a million times, right? When I say we want to analyze this against the chords, if this is a blues, we've got the root B flat happening twice, and then the third of B flat, this is bar 1, and then bar 2 has the root again, and now we've got this chromatic movement, still in bar 2, going to the 5 of B flat in the next bar. So this is 5 of B flat 7 here, that F. So that's sort of the first task, is to think about it in relation to the chords. The next is to analyze the intervals. And this doesn't have to be super in-depth necessarily, although it can help to look at every single one. So in the examples that I've given in the PDF for this phrase, for example, we've got 2 B flats, so that's a unison, and then this second B flat goes to D, that's a major third. That happens again, so that's a unison, and then it goes up a minor second, or half step, to E flat, another unison, and that goes up a half step to E natural. This happens again, and then it goes up another half step to F. So looking at it like that might also give you a little bit more information. The third task is to think about these notes in relation to the key center as opposed to just the chord. Sometimes this gives you a better into being able to grab the whole phrase. So this is in the key of B flat, or it's a B flat blues, but you know, it's in the key of B flat, and we're just thinking 1, 1, 3, 3, 4, 4, sharp 4, sharp 4, 5, like that, instead of in relation to the chords that are happening under that line. The fourth thing we can do is to think about the phrase as part of a scale if we can identify it as such. So does the phrase that we've chosen really give the flavor of a particular scale? If it is something very, very strong, like a Phrygian sound or a diminished sound or something like that, it might be very, very obvious right away. With just a few notes, it might not be so obvious, but it can help too. Like when I get a picture of this particular phrase, I am thinking some kind of major beginning, so a major scale or a Mixolydian scale, something to that effect, even a Lydian scale. So I'm sort of grabbing a general sense of where I'm starting or where I'm amending things in relation to one single scale. The last thing is to find important notes in the phrase and find where there are connections between them. See what the sort of bridge is in between the two. And also in that, look for chromatic approach notes to one of those strong notes, or either from above or below, or both. So in this phrase, we've got B flat as a strong note, D, the third of the chord, is a strong note, E flat, the root, is strong, and then we're connecting to another strong note, the F, with the E natural. Chromatic approach note there. So by taking all 5 of these things, I'm able to sort of get a variety of ways into memorizing the piece, really getting it inside of me. And they're going to be very helpful in the next step of the broad sort of 3-step process. This next step is to put it in different keys. And I know we're told to do this a lot. And in case you haven't thought about it, the reason is that not only does it help to instill it inside you, but it allows you to theoretically be able to use this phrase in any song or any key. So the first step, though, in putting in different keys, if it's not super comfortable for you, is to just figure out how to do it in one other key, right? So using these 5 things that we've looked at, let's put it in another key. In the PDF that I have, I've gone down a whole step to A flat. We're in A flat blues now. And so I am thinking about, okay, well, it starts on the root, so that's A flat. That happens twice. And then that goes up a third, which is the third of the chord. It's also the third of the scale. And then I go up a half step here, repeat that, and go up a half step again. That's D natural, and then up a half step again. So I could have also thought of this in relation, in reference to A flat major or A flat Mixolydian, the way I said before. I could have thought about it in relation to the chords. If I know that I'm going A flat 7 to D flat 7, back to A flat 7, I can think about root, third, root, chromatic approach to the 5th of the next A flat. So once you've taken some time to really slowly figure out how to do it in one other key, you want to apply it to, theoretically, every other key. So you've got 11 more to do. And I always suggest to do it in the cycle of fourths. If you're not familiar with that, send me a message or look online. There's a lot of information about cycle of fourths and fifths. So go in the cycle of fourths. So in the PDF, we started in B flat. So the next thing we're going to do is do it in E flat. Up a fourth from there is A flat. Up a fourth from there is D flat. G flat. C flat, or easier to call it B. And so on, do with all the 11. So once you're able to analyze it, put it in one other key, you should be able to do it in the other keys. Now, the next main step is to practically put it in something immediately. Apply it as soon as you can. Apply it in a practical sense. I don't just mean apply it in your practice, unless you are practicing performing. So as soon as you can play with somebody else, as soon as you can get to a play along, and so on and so forth, do it again immediately, as soon as possible, so that you really feel like there's a use for this and that you won't forget it. The more you use it, the less chance you will forget it, and the more fun you'll have as well. Also, don't be afraid to do it many times in your attempt to remember it. One thing is, lots of people aren't really going to notice, but also it really, really helps to instill it inside you. Try to put it in different keys in the same, try to use it multiple times in the same song, try to use it from one song to the next, no matter what the key, and so on and so forth. Just try to use it everywhere. We're just looking right now at a 2-bar phrase, basically. That's very doable, I think, for most of us. You can do a 1-bar phrase. You could do one interval, you know what I mean? Like if you really wanted to. So it doesn't have to be a big thing. You're basically just being able to internalize what you've heard or studied, and then being able to replicate that in any situation. Now the 4th step, even though I mentioned 3 main ones, is to actually change it in a way that is interesting to you. And make it part of your own personal vocabulary. That's sort of up to you. And there's not a way that I can really direct that other than to say, play around with it and try to do something different. But really being able to know that this is, in its original version is part of you will help to create something new with it. So I've gone on to do 3 other phrases. The second phrase is oleo, and let's take a listen to that now so that we can hear what it sounds like in context. 4. So in the PDF, I've taken the analysis into my own hands again. So I've provided the ability to take a look at it in relation to each of those chords, in relation to the major scale, in relation to the key, in relation to the key center, intervals, and so on. So I've done all 5 of those things for you, as well as written it out in the different keys. So if we wanted to do it in E flat, like I've got on the PDF here, it sounds like this. Right? And so again, you want to apply it into the rest of the keys and apply it right away to something that you are working on, so that you really want to make it feel like it is a tool that you can use. Now, the 3rd and 4th phrases I have not analyzed for you. I've sort of left this as homework for you to do, and I hope that you will. I think it will be kind of helpful. Let's take a listen to these phrases as well. This 3rd phrase is from Miroslav Vidas on another rhythm changes, and check out the things that he does differently here. It's kind of an interesting one, right? So, as I said, take some time and analyze it for yourself. Try this homework of putting it into other keys and so on and so forth. And even though it may not be interesting to you, I think that you'll get some benefit from trying that. Let's listen now to phrase number 4. So this is Jimmy Blanton on Jack the Bear, and this is not a rhythm changes, rather it's a movement going up in fifths, actually, in a fifth. It's going from D flat 6 to A flat 6. And let's take a listen to what he plays here. 3, 4. And again, take some time to analyze this yourself and try to make this your own, at least in theory, even if you don't like it very much. But do the work of analyzing it and trying to put it in other keys as an exercise. I'm sure that you will get something from it. As always, take this and apply it to anything you're working on, like I've used before, or if you've chosen another phrase, take that and apply it to something that you're working on. Now, in the PDF, I've got an example at the end that combines actually all 4 of these. I've chosen a rhythm changes, which we've got 3 examples from a rhythm changes, so that made sense. But check out what happens when I take the Jimmy Blanton line, which is not from a rhythm changes, and put it on the bridge. It's an interesting sort of thing, and I've had to put it in a different key to do so, and I think it's an interesting sort of sound. So what I've done is highlight the 4 phrases in the PDF, and then I've got slashes, which you know mean to improvise yourself. I'll do so now in a play along so that you can hear how it sounds together. So that's it. Hopefully this was helpful for you today. Thank you for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe, check for that PDF, and always remember, straight ahead and strive for tone.